Hello and welcome to another open source live code hangout. Today we'll be reviewing some community code submissions for the OpenCiviWiki project, and if time permits, we'll hop over to companionship care. OpenCiviWiki is building a better democracy for the internet age. It's kind of like GitHub for democracy. Right now our project is in heavy development mode. We're in a sort of a beta, alpha, probably alpha quality code. There's so many things moving around and breaking right now. Just in the last 22 hours, there's been a bunch of activity. Yesterday during the live stream, we did review some code. Let's go in the reverse chronological order through these code submissions, starting with this documentation pull request. Pull request number 1389. Pull request 1389 should close 1358. Closes. So let's just modify this using the correct syntax. If this will load, GitHub has some keywords to link pull requests with related issues. There we go. When I review this, wowzers. Whoa. Wow. Look at that. A lot of really crazy. Okay, let's actually, there we go. Wow. And, this project is under heavy development. Like I mentioned, we're going to surface these older design documents, and we might use a lot of this. I believe so. The interface and some of the data models might change under the underlying data model. In any case, yeah, this looks great. So now we've got this all separated out. I'm not going to go line for line here. It's quite a lot, but great work. And for example, the privacy policy, we may or may not continue using that. Key functionality report, this was an interesting contribution. I'm not going to really go through and expect these to be linted or any grammar checking. What we're trying to do is get this split out and remove some binary files, these ODT files. Very good. I mean, I will just quickly glance over this and approve it. I think it's great work. Converting the ODT to Markdown. Approve. Very cool. Submit review and merge. Let me double check one thing. In my haste, docs. It's in the good location. Confirmed. Now, as part of our all contributors initiative, we want to show thanks to Dieter Michel for docs. And the all contributors bot is going to come by and make a pull request really quick that has the contributor's name, a link to their profile, and basically a description or an icon of what kind of contribution they made. We will merge that. See, it looks like this. It's just a little bit of data. Dieter Michel, login name, display name, avatar URL, which is the generic one. But if they change it, it should upload or update the newer avatar. I'm not sure exactly how it works. And their profile or website. And then it rebuilds this. Now we have 90 contributors, and it rebuilds the HTML table, so everybody's there in alphabetical order. That's how all contributors works. We realize that there are many ways to contribute to open source projects, not just code. Documentation is sort of an obvious one. Developers are used to working with documentation and we understand the importance of it, but there's many more ways that are important. And all contributors bot helps us raise those up. Show our appreciation. And let's take a look. We've got 90 contributors. Really cool. Almost at 100. And then the all contributors bot manages this section. And you can see the types of contributions. I've gone through this a couple of times, but You can do podcasts or recordings or help us with our accessibility initiatives, spot bugs and report those, write articles, help us develop any kind of business or financial support, contribute code, that's the common one, write content, data, help us with user experience design, help us financially. There's a lot of different ways you can contribute to any open source project for that matter. But in particular, CiviWiki, we're acknowledging people who've made all sorts of contributions. So I'm going to just repeat this process. I'm going to review a couple more submissions. And as the changes are merged, I will try to remember to add them via the all contributors bot. Sometimes they're already going to be in our contributors list. Sometimes they'll have contributed in a new way. So there's one down. I can say done here. I'll just celebrate that. PR reviewed and merged. And this now should be closed because I linked the issue using the GitHub keyword. I'm not going to be too, I'll just kind of be lending a helping hand here, and rather than having other contributors follow these little nuances. Okay, it looks like we've got closes number 1352, Django linear migrations. And they had to set the base max migration files for all user-generated apps. Most of these changes right now are focused on the developer experience. In an upcoming session, probably not today, we're going to start on some road mapping, getting the features under development. Right now, we're trying to get into a better place for developers to even pick up the project and get a sense of what's going on. And that also includes pulling back away from the JavaScript ecosystem a bit, just so we're a pure Django application. We might use a little bit of JavaScript or probably one of these more sort of, I would say contemporary, but at the same time, they're based on Ajax, which has been around. These ways of creating dynamic templates where the dynamic parts of the page can render and refresh without a whole page refresh, similar to the performance you would expect of a single page application, but using just Ajax and having some magic. We're going to go through and audit a few of these technologies. So it looks like for each project or each application in our project, we need to have this max migration text, which is the latest or last, most recent auto-generated migration. And from here on out, it's going to be interesting. Unrelated change, but I guess there was a deprecation warning they cleared up. I was also working with this line of code today. Django 5 is deprecating this use L10N or localization. Django 4 defaults to true, so we can just remove this line to get rid of that deprecation warning. Django linear migrations is going to simplify our migration process, and it was recommended by this book, Improve Your Django Developer Experience. Pretty straightforward though. We just have a couple of apps that have the max migration. Our notification app, our threads app, and our accounts app, and our categories app. Poetry locks the dependencies. This causes a bit of headache for new developers and myself as well, because Poetry locks all of the versions of our dependencies, and the combined dependency graph, it creates a hash for that, which you can't just merge. You can't just use standard Git merging functionality. You have to regenerate that lock file. So we actually have some documentation on the way. This pull request looks good. I'm just kind of describing some things as I go to clarify my thinking and to shine some light into what we're working on and why these things kind of matter. Excellent. So now this issue has been closed. We will make sure to mention Seth Engel. I apologize to all the people whose names I mispronounce. For code, all contributors, and that's a grammar thing. You should put a comma after the subject of the line. I should update my little message here. Wow, 91 contributors now. Let's see. Open that in a new tab. Click done. And review. Approve. And moving on. Here's where it's going to get a bit tangly. If there are other pull requests involving dependencies. 6 hours ago, we're getting into now. Yeah, basically, we've recently been adding a continuous integration pipeline, which means every time you make a change to the project and you open a pull request and you want those changes to be merged, we're running some automatic checks on those changes. And that's called continuous integration. And you can see an example here where we're going to be reviewing this in a moment, but you can see that red X there. That means that our continuous integration workflow ran, and in this case, some tests failed, which, those give us some insights into code issues, quality issues, code breaking. The issue at hand with this caching is that this CI pipeline takes time. This takes, okay, it's a lot of text. Minimize it. All right, some of these steps are fast. Checking it out. Installing poetry actually only takes 12 seconds, so maybe I'm fiddling too much. The installation of dependencies took almost a minute, I think, previously. And then things like running tests, those are actually where code is being executed. But what we want to do is kind of speed up our pipeline a little bit, shave some seconds off of that for a couple of reasons. One is a bit of a hassle to have to wait for this pipeline to complete, although there will be some waiting. But two, we want to kind of conserve resources. GitHub is giving us this service for free. I think we'll still have a kind of limit of the amount of CI minutes or computational time that our open source project gets. Furthermore, that CPU time, it takes energy and resources. So basically the less resources we can use, the better. We want this to run when pull requests are made. It's set up to run on every commit, but if you're working locally on your computer and then you push a bunch of commits, it'll only run on the latest commit, so that's good. In any case, what we're trying to do here is, if a step is already run and really no changes have been made to the code related to that step, specifically the dependencies, we should not rerun that step again. We should just pull it out of cache. All right, I'll just add a minute here. Thank you, Grammarly. And comment. So, Dieter Michelle has agreed to take this task. I'll assign them so we know it's been claimed and done. We'll come back to Borkum's pull request here. There's quite a lot going on. I gotta get my head around it. I want to work reverse chronologically. In fairness to the contributors who came first. Okay, looks like we've got a comment. And yeah, that's a good question. Can we replicate this issue? Essentially, there used to be this feature that when you would sign up as a new user, the sign up form only had a few fields like email and password or something very basic. And they wanted to onboard people to get more specific information, such as geographic location. And that was going to be used for the United States as a basically representative government, and it's divided by districts and states and things like that. And OpenCiviWiki was originally targeted towards people in the United States to get involved with the United States political process. So we're making it much more generic, much more direct, and to a certain extent, we don't want it to just tailor to the United States political environment, which is pretty dysfunctional. But that aside, it's just not useful to the broader world. And additionally, when we're adding features around these United States representatives and legislation and things, it was introducing a whole bunch of complexity to the project. And some of the sources we were pulling that data in from to try to integrate it into CiviWiki they even went offline, and all that complexity just was really rearing its ugly head, compounded by the fact that we were splitting the project into essentially two projects, so front end and back end. So we've really taken a step back, and we're trying to pull out so much of this complexity, simplify again back to the basics. And that includes the setup wizard, which was designed to smoothly onboard people to ask for further person identifiable information, which is also problematic. So long story short, we've got this task to remove it. It may have already been removed. Honestly, I don't quite know. So let's take a quick look. Bring up the code, CiviWiki, the develop branch, poetry shell. I'm trying to kind of help steer the project, but I don't have sort of in-depth understanding of all the code that's going on, hence trying to also remove some of the code. And I've got several projects I'm juggling too, so I'm kind of at a higher sort of a project management perspective, but need to also get familiar with the what's going on in the code. Okay, all right. So here we got something, the project when you run. Okay, so yeah, this is just not a big deal. I need to install the dependencies. There's a lot of dependencies going into this project right now. Again, targeting the developer experience. We're trying to improve the developer experience. So we've now also Poetry's going to update some stuff for us. Now I think we should be able to run the server. And need to make some migrations. Or not make them, but run them. No? Oh, yeah, it's just a warning. Cool, let's run it here. Hop over to the browser, to the side, do a new tab. Do that, that's not what I copied. To the side, Control L, Control V, whatever. That's frustrating, my keyboard. Yes, we've got a new Django debug toolbar. So when I join CiviWiki, I'm gonna ask for username and password. I'm going to try to put in a password that passes validation. OIKSD. Can't even. Sorry, I need to register first. Like I say. Now that should be an unnecessary constraint. There we go. Yeah, so this no longer exists. We used to onboard people, but now our profiles. Oh, yeah. There it is. This is fine. My profile is when I would expect to see that. So that's a bug. We're going to get into the usability side of things later. Definitely some issues here. Usability experience stuff. I don't even know where to begin. Well, I'm going to have to take this forward. So let's see. Firstly, this. Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, so we got a new bug. Code quality. Probably a good first issue. Help wanted Hacktoberfest. Looking good. All right, so that's it. We just got to kind of take these as they arise. I mean, I think it does function. No, form doesn't save. Which is the bigger problem, that the form doesn't function correctly. We're getting here. That's why I said we're kind of in alpha form. We're pulling things out. We're breaking stuff. We're remodeling pretty big time, but it's going to come together. So we might already have an issue with this. Let me double check. This is pretty much a duplicate of the other one. So let's go ahead. Just copy it. Let's double check this in the browser console. Nothing really related. These are already these 404s. We'll get rid of those. Just checking the chat over here, making sure I'm not missing any messages. I just tried it in Chrome. label bug. Code quality. Yeah, that's true. It's code quality. Enhance. No. Good first issue. Oktoberfest. Help wanted. Good first issue. Oktoberfest. Yeah. Submit. Okay. All right. We're making progress. Pretty good. It's a bit sloppy, I know. I'm moving fast, but moving through these issues fast. We do need some user experience improvement of the initial profile setup. It wasn't so painful that that it was a blocker, though. So we'll come back to that. Let's come back to that. All right, so we're at City Wiki. Yeah. Overall, we're looking good. We're coming along. Okay. And we might have gotten a response in there 3 minutes ago. Whoa, Gorkum. Yep, he's working fast. All right, so pre-commit should be installed before using it. Well, yeah, that makes sense. When was it? 2 hours ago? Now we're coming into almost real time. Not sure what this is. I believe we have instructions for pre-commit in our developer documentation. Contributing guide. Let me double check. Yeah, all right. Oh, contributing guide. Oh, okay. Pre-commit should be in our virtual environment though. And we don't want to install it. We don't want to install it globally. I get the issue. It's a pull request. And they're opening a pull request without any issue. Firstly, it's just kind of a bit sloppy. Okay. So that was an oversight. Okay, cool. I get it. What environment? All right. So now I've requested changes, so that'll be flagged. We'll go back to the big one. Actually, this is good. It's been a long-standing one. Once we get these threads ported over and the remaining backbone templates ported over, we're going to be on the road to adding new features, revitalizing the data model. I'm going to close out any of these fails and merges. It'll speed up the process here just a bit and puts us on the path to being finished. I think this was good to go. They made the changes. Changed. I requested. Perfect. The only other thing I was going to do is this. This is it. Yeah. Now we'll do this. With markdown lists, we don't need the spaces in between them. And it'll actually render just fine. Might have been a copy and paste thing. I'm not sure how that originated. But yeah, nice. Nice description. Let me actually. One other thing, and with these inline ones, we only need a single backtick. Just measure the triple backticks is when you have multiple line code fence. We also wanted to get rid of those trailing white spaces. So we'll just fix this up a little bit. Clear. Whoa, wrong button. Clear. Yeah, trailing white space. Boop, boop. Boop, boop. Delete the file. And I'm going to run the grammar checker on it. Make sure it's all legit, so to speak. Even as like somebody who grew up speaking English. I don't know how to speak English. Let's see. This is incorrect. It's inside of a code fence. The punctuation matters. Incorrect. Incorrect. Grammarly just says know this because it's not a typical use case. Branch names have to have hyphens, but really inside of code fences, Grammarly needs to kind of treat those special. Okay, so let's get this out of passive voice. Inside of backticks, standard punctuation rules do not apply. Spaces and things like that. Update that. It's looking better. And there was this similar problem here. Huh, dang it. They applied my changes. Well, let's take these backticks back out. Good grief. Here we go. And I've got to change the grammar also. Otherwise, this is great. This is very fast work. Very useful. It's easier to use my mouse than dance around on the keyboard, it looks like. One more. I'm hoping that if I flag enough of those, then Grammarly will start getting the point. I don't think so, though. They might be fast to make these changes, so I'll just step back for just a second. Mazen seems to be monitoring this pull request pretty closely. So we'll come back to it. I'll click done. No, I'll leave it up. I'll come back to it at the end of the session. Where was that? I'm going to click done on this one. So it'll come back up when I make changes. This commit is part of a pull request. This project is hecka active, though. I mean, as much things are broken. And make sure it's 1396. Yep, he's got it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and merge. Okay, we're going to get rid of the API endpoint. Let's take a look here. Single, double to single, okay. Lint. Mainly white space. Now, what is I don't believe this closes the issue because we're still using like a view model, I think. Let me check it out locally. 1393. This is a bit clearer. Maybe I was missing something here. I think so. Basically, it's the way I'm viewing it on GitHub that was leading to a little bit of confusion. If I and hide white space changes, just I don't know if this will help. There's some major improvements here. Very cool. And this is quite complicated, but nonetheless, that's it. Yeah. Yeah, that's why it's just such a big diff. Okay, I see what's happening here. So there's porting account HTML to Django template syntax. Check. Fixing bugs. Yeah, that was why I was a bit mind bending. We're going to separately port the threads templates. Got it. Got it. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Okay. I'm going to approve this. This looks great. Approve and merge. We will have a follow-up task to port the threads over, which is a really complicated part of the project. Great work. And Gorkum will then merge that. We'll leave the option up there for Gorkum. Usually, when you're working on a project with people on a regular basis, you'll have the peer review where you make sure, check people's code and improve it. But then the person who submitted the pull request gets to do the final merge. I believe that's how it typically works. Looks good. With all these community contributors, though, I'm just going ahead and finishing the merge. Just, I think also because they don't have permission to merge the changes into the develop branch. So this is great. All contributors. Mazin Ramadan for docs. I think that's about what I have energy for today. Let me double check. We're making such great progress with this project. I click done here. Approve this. New contributor. 92 contributors. Very cool. There we go. Approve merge. Hacktoberfest. Seriously though. Seriously. Good stuff. I know I've got a few pull requests waiting for the companionship care. And in fairness, I shouldn't let them linger. So let me just go through these. 1 day ago. This one still has way too many changes. I believe I've asked. It's tricky when you're working on a project that has other changes going on and you want to keep your branch up to date. You'd be tempted to pull in all the changes. I thought this already got merged in. Let me check. Nope. I guess the advice here would be just to start the PR again. You already know which changes are needed. We can't have 52 files merging in. Done. Yeah, this is not correctly named. That won't pass lint. And I don't have the control D, the power of control D for multi-cursor. Actually, this is easier if I do this. Linting the code, which would be caught by black. Once we get these pre-commits in there and having IDE that does this on save, just makes it a non-issue. Non-issue. Hope I don't introduce any typos here. Be careful like that. And that. Getting ahead of myself. And it's really just, I like double quotes, but it's not just that. It's just, we don't want to fight about little details like that. Black has some opinions. Let's just use them. I believe that's it. Request changes. Cool. Moving forward. Don't keep them waiting. Don't keep the contributors waiting. This looks good. Let me make sure we're following the right process here. Critic is assigned. Oh, that's yes. Cool. Oops. I said the wrong button. I'm getting tired. I'm moving fast. If I break things, I'm going to fix them. It's sort of my own project in a way here. But I just also want to help new contributors get credit for working on open source. All part of Hacktoberfest. Awesome. Merge. Celebrate. Yes, very cool. Companionship Care has a new contributor. There you go. Thank you. A couple of them. Whoa, yeah, it's growing. Just today. Something like that. Yeah, 2, 3. Very cool. Let's see if there's any more notifications. Already approved. I'm just gonna add another message. Cool beans. Oh, come on. Blue dot compels me. believe these green ones. What's going on here? These are correct keyword. That's one problem. Link, proper link between the PR and the issue shows up here, and I don't want to be rude and close it, but it's been claimed, so really CMAR's PR takes precedent. What's going on here? That's it. It's been. I'll just update the branch. I don't know if that was necessary. Let's wait for this CI workflow to run. I think we introduced some errors here. Installing poetry here taking about 20 seconds. Not too bad. 23, but it's still CPU time that was spent unnecessarily when we run multiple of these a day. Just doing the same thing. Same thing with this, but there wasn't a cache hit here because the dependencies have changed. If there is something lint that's not introduced in this pull request, then I'll fix the lint separately. Done. Pretty far along though. I think we will be able to. I think we'll be able to merge this one soon. Oh, that's correct. Oh boy. Okay, well, I don't really know even how to summarize this, but today we've had a flurry of activity. All right. Let's just take a look at the ones we've merged in the last hour. Pretty massive ones. Okay. A quick recap. Not so much in the details of all the code, just the highlights of the contributors. All right, ready? Hello, and welcome to a recap of today's open source hangout. Today, we've been looking at some community contributions for 2 open source projects here on GitHub. First, we'll take a look at the pull requests that were merged for the OpenCiviWiki project. You can find this project at github.com/civiwiki/OpenCiviWiki. OpenCiviWiki has passed 90 contributors today. We're following the all contributors process where we acknowledge types of contributions other than code. A lot of times open source projects seem to emphasize source code as the primary way of getting involved or contributing. What we want to highlight is there's many ways to contribute to these types of projects. Finding bugs, suggesting ideas, improving the documentation, adding automated testing, improving accessibility are among the many ways you can contribute to these types of projects. And we will try to add and affirm every type of contribution. This the all contributors bot or community is a way of kind of acknowledging those. It has some default types of contributions, and it has a bot that will come and when we receive a pull request or a forum discussion or some other way, we can indicate that somebody else has contributed. We'll mention that person's, usually their GitHub profile, and then the bot will add them to this table, the icon, and a link to their either web page or their GitHub profile. So that's a quick aside. We have been going through some pull requests from an existing contributor, one of our core maintainers, Gorkum Arslan, and some new contributors here. Gorkum has pretty much kind of put the finishing touches on some important bug reports. I'm a bit tired. It's kind of been a long day, but we're working on simplifying our code base and improving the developer experience at the same time. And part of that simplification is removing features as well as removing kind of code bloat in the form of, we were previously maintaining two projects, a front end and a back end, and then the API integration from the back end, but even the back end had some front end templates. It was kind of a hodgepodge, and it was not sustainable for this size of a project. I don't think it's a good code architecture for most projects. So we're going back to the basics. We're using full stack Django. That means we have to port some of the JavaScript templates back over to Django templates and simplify again the user experience and the improve the maintainability of the project. So Gorkum ported our accounts templates from Backbone to Django template syntax and fixed a couple of bugs while they were in those areas of the code. One bug I happened to report while they were working. There are still some issues. Some tests are failing, but this project is under such heavy revision. We're kind of expecting things to be broken in various states of brokenness. So that's kind of okay. But once we pull through this major refactoring and reorganization, we'll be able to start adding features and focusing on actually developing the idea and not spreading so thinly across, a front end and back end project. We have a new contributor, Mazen Ramadan, who has graciously improved our contributing guide by adding instructions for resolving conflicts, specifically with our Poetry package manager. Poetry does a lot of really useful things for us. It helps us keep our dependencies up to date as well as at their latest compatible versions. One of the drawbacks is that the lock file that it uses to keep track of the versions and validate their file size with like these hashes also creates a hash for the entire bundle of all the packages at a particular version combined. And that means that you can't, at least to my knowledge, use regular git merge approaches with the poetry package, or the poetry.lock, sorry, not package.lock, because it has to regenerate the poetry.lock based on changes to the dependency graph. We have a lot of developer experience improvements going on right now. That means we're updating our dependencies quite a lot and introducing conflicts in this really large file. But there nonetheless is a way to resolve those conflicts. It's just a bit of a head scratcher the first time you encounter it, and it's caused a couple of our contributors to kind of abandon their pull request and reopen it from scratch using the latest poetry lock, which is not an ideal solution. So I think these instructions are fairly straightforward, and we can refer contributors to those. Hopefully there will be some resolution to this in the broader poetry ecosystem, because I don't think it's unique to our project. In any case, thanks again, Mazen. And here's an example. When we get a new contributor, we will mention the all contributors bot, and they using some keywords, the contributor name and from the emoji key, what type of contribution they made. And then the all contributors bot opens a pull request that updates our project contributors metadata by adding a new dictionary here with the login and display name, as well as the avatar and profile URL. And this is basically whatever you use for your GitHub profile or homepage. If that's not defined, then it'll just use your GitHub profile page, as well as an array or a list here of the types of contributions. Then it updates some HTML, increments the contributor count badge, and maintains this alphabetized list of contributors. We don't want to necessarily sort this, what you say, chronologically. We're just alphabetically seems to make more sense in an egalitarian way. Okay, let's continue onward. Seth Engel also has first-time contribution, helping us to simplify our project migrations by adding Django linear migrations. The new package, the package needed us to specify the latest auto-generated version of each of the migrations. Notice there were changes to the poetry lock, which could introduce conflicts that I just mentioned. They also went ahead and cleaned up a deprecation warning that we were getting in the Django terminal. This use localization setting is no longer needed. In Django 4, it defaults to true, and in Django 5, it's going to be removed, and Django will automatically localize all content that's rendered into the templates. So Seth went out of their way and made a little extra improvement here while working to install this Django linear migrations. Those are kind of nice, shows nice attention to detail and craftsmanship approach to software development. So thanks again, Seth. We've made sure to include you in our all contributors guide, and the issues, all of these issues should be linked to Hacktoberfest. So anybody who's a Hacktoberfest participant can get credit by contributing to OpenCiviWiki. And I'll try to spin to these last two fairly quickly, but this was, we had some documentation that was in ODT format, or Open Document Text, which is basically a word processor format from the Document Foundation. And Git is really oriented towards plain text. Normally source code or other types of documentation, this markdown format is very common. So essentially what this pull request by Dieter Michel is taking two ODT files and breaking out the content into markdown and including the pictures. So quite good work. And that wasn't, I think, yeah, Dieter, that was Dieter's first contribution in this project. I believe they are working on another task, or maybe had another task merged after this one. I'm not sure. I'm having a hard time keeping track of everything. Now over to companionship care. Riddick Pandelier, I think, had stopped by the live stream yesterday, perhaps, and was asking about some tasks. And I've been adding these and tagging everything with Hacktoberfest. Yes, making sure that that's there as well. And, signaling that it's a good one to take. This one's a user developer experience improvement that'll automatically refresh the browser when you're making changes to the server file, so you don't have to hit that Control or Command R. It just saves you a couple of keystrokes. Again, we're just trying to make these projects real friendly to new contributors, keeping things simple and as close to Django core development paradigm as possible. That way people can get up and running and make their first contributions to open source. Well, that's been a recap of today's open source live code hangout. If you'd like to get involved with this or other projects, you can stop by github.com/companionshipcare or github.com/openciviwiki or civiwiki/openciviwiki. And we can get you pointed towards some ways you can contribute. Stop on up by our discussion if you're not particularly interested in coding, or if you got rather contributor ideas or some design or other types of skills to the project. All contributors are welcome. Have a great day, and I hope you're doing well.